Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us for the fourth session in the ATP Ride Report webinar series. My name is Ashley Pallon, and I oversee the tuition reimbursement programs for ATP and alumni services. And today we are going to be joined by Zeke Zietak. He is the lead pilot recruiter for Ameriflight for a career path outlook session on cargo opportunities. For those of you that have attended our webinars before, you know we just go over some ground rules to start. Your microphones will be muted for the duration of this session. If you need to chat with us, you can do so in the lower right-hand corner. There is a chat box. And if you have any questions for Zeke, we will have a Q&A at the end of the session. There is a dedicated Q&A box in the middle of your toolbar if you're joining us via Zoom. So just go ahead and write your questions there and we'll address them later. And finally, for this week's poll, since we are speaking with Zeke from Ameriflight, we'd just like to hear how many of you have heard of Ameriflight. So we're going to go ahead and launch this poll. Let us know if you're not familiar, if you would like to learn a little bit more, or if you are very familiar with Ameriflight or maybe have already applied to them. All right, so looks like there are about 50 of you that want to learn more and 12 of you that have already applied. So great to hear that. Go ahead and share those results really quick. You guys are now able to see those. Perfect. And there are only a couple that have not heard very much before, so that's great. Great. Thank you all for submitting those answers. Again, it's great to hear that a lot of you have already heard of Ameriflight and some of you have actually applied, so that's awesome. And I'd like to welcome Zeke. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So to start, if we could just find out a little bit more information about your background, if you could tell us, a little bit about that and how long you've been with Ameriflight.
I'll go backwards. Been with Ameriflight coming up on 4 years now. I retired from FedEx after almost 18 years. Did a little bit of everything with them. I was with the air side, with the ground side. Prior to that, I served 22 years in the military.
Well, thank you for your service.
To do a lot of crazy stuff from operate tugboats to fly helicopters. So that was a lot of fun. That's about it. I'm married. I have 3 daughters, a couple grandchildren, again, 2 girls and a boy. Have a little dog. I'm a big golfer, softball player, bowler, horseshoe pitcher, gardener. Just enjoy being outside, really. So that's it about me.
Awesome. Well, hey, that sounds like you have a lot of experience, and I know that you have a lot of experience hiring pilots. So we're very excited to have you today. And that being said, since you are the lead pilot recruiter for Ameriflight, can you just share with our viewers some information on Ameriflight's operations, on the aircraft, and then current hiring minimums for captains and first officers on the various aircraft?
Sure. So we are the largest Part 135 company in the country. We support mostly UPS, FedEx, and DHL. Plus, we operate a lot of charters as well. We do that with 4 aircraft. We have a Beechcraft 99. We have a Beechcraft 1900. We have the SA227, the Metroliner, and then the Brasilia, the Embraer 120. They don't all fly in every base. We do have some bases that have all those aircraft, and then other bases specify they have just one of those aircraft. Like our new base, Miami, right now, that is going to be nothing but Metroliners for now, anyway. Our Burbank base is nothing but Metroliners. Our Omaha base was all Beech 99s for a while, and then now we have 1900 in there. So that's just kind of how it operates. As far as basic qualifications, the initial entry into ours, if it's not as a captain, is normally as a first officer. The only aircraft that we use a first officer on is the Embraer. So the rest we fly single pilot. So that aircraft, usually we look for 450 to about 800 hours to be an FO with 25 multi, maybe 100 cross country. 100 PIC. It's really where you start getting your experience at. Now, however, we only have 14 of those aircraft. So that means we're going to have about 21 FOs, because in some places where we're going to have multiple, like Puerto Rico, for example, down in Barranquilla, we fly 2 of them out of there. So we always like to have at least 3 FOs there. Some places it's just 1 aircraft, 1 FO, but most of them we want to have an extra so that you can break up the schedule or vacation time, sick time, things of that nature. All the other aircraft are flown single pilot. So there's a limbo phase with us, really, from about 800 hours to that 1200 magic number to come on as a captain. We really don't have anything in that mix anymore. We used to have an accelerated captain program for external candidates. At present, we do not have that. We do still have the program, but it is only for UPS interns and Aviate candidates, which you all are a part of as well. So when someone does come on in that statute as an SIC in either the Metroliner or the 1900, they will sit right seat, and usually we want them at about 600 hours minimum, all the way up to about 900. So what they will do, they will come in and sit right seat, be type rated SIC in one of those 2 aircraft. And when they reach 1,000 hours, they will go back and become a captain, a restricted captain in the Beech 99. They will fly that Beech 99 restricted for 200 hours and then be unrestricted as a Beech 99 captain. And then once they get 6 months to between 6 and a year, it just depends upon how many hours they're flying every month, then they can upgrade either to full captain in a Metro, a 1900, and just keep climbing. We always try to entice all of our pilots to be check airmen, training captains, pilot supervisors, even regional chiefs as they gain more experience.
Thank you. And guys, I'm just going to show you really quick on my screen. If you do have questions about Ameriflight's hiring requirements, you can just go to ameriflight.com/pilot. And if you scroll down under the job requirements, you're able to see all of this information if perhaps you forget the minimums as far as first officer and captain. So that's where you're able to view that information. And so, Zeke, on average for pilots, how many hours can they expect to log annually?
The average for our pilots is 60 hours a month, lowest being probably about 35 and highs over 100.
Okay.
Down in the Puerto Rico, both out of San Juan and out of Barranquilla, they very often exceed 100 a month down there. A lot of great flying, beautiful flying down there.
Sure.
And there's some other bases that are on the high side as well, but the company average is 60. Now we do have a couple of for the Embraer 120s. They don't normally, other than down in the islands, they normally don't fly a whole lot. They're that 50 range probably, and we have that stray one. It flies from Ontario, California to Mexico every day, and sits at a resort, but you only get about 26 hours a month there. So that one's the low time one. But other than
time, but a high quality of life.
yeah, it's a nice place to sit.
Awesome.
And we fly mostly Monday through Friday. There is occasional runs that we have that operate Monday evening through Saturday morning, but for the most part, 95% of our flights are Monday through Friday.
Hey, so that's a great option if someone wants to be home on the weekends.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know that you had mentioned this a little bit earlier, but you now have 16 bases, just added Miami. Out of them, is there a specific one that is most junior right now?
No, we don't really operate with a junior senior base tile. When we're bringing someone on externally, it's just a matter of what's available at that time. So if they're qualified, let's say for a Beech 1900, and at 1900, I have 2 of them, one in Phoenix and one in Salt Lake City. They could have their choice. So, and it doesn't matter who's in that base or who's the senior, that doesn't come into play. The only time seniority really comes into play, 2 times. One is when you're bidding internally for another aircraft to upgrade to another aircraft or to change your base. Then seniority rules. So if you got 2 captains that are applying for a specific base or aircraft upgrade, the senior one, as long as everything is, the one isn't crazy or something, then they're going to get that. The other time a seniority may come into play is within a base, if the pilots are rotating to where they don't want to get bored on one flight and they agree, hey, let's change it up where every couple of weeks we switch out, which many of them do. If you have a senior pilot in there that says, this is my run, this is the only one I want, I don't want to rotate, then because they are the senior captain, they have a right to that. And so we'll just let them alone. But nobody can bump you out of a position just because they're senior and you were awarded that base. So once you've awarded a base, we offer to you, you accept it, you pass training, that's yours until you no longer want it.
Perfect. So that's a great option for those of you guys that are interested in Ameriflight to know that you have that opportunity to know where you're going to be located long term and stick with that. And Zeke, one of the things that I've always found to be a really neat part of your operation is just the ability for someone that's perhaps being brought on as a lower time pilot to really gain some multi-turbine experience in the program as a pilot with Ameriflight. In addition to that, you guys have, and I know you'd mentioned this briefly also, established partnerships that externally beyond Ameriflight even assist with career progression. Can you tell us a little bit about each of those programs that you participate in, being Aviate and then the UPS Flight Path?
Sure. Yeah, that's the two that we have settled on now for good. We had relationships with a variety of other airlines before, and we still have good relationships with them. We just don't have an official pathway to them. We went with the two big dogs, one in freight and one in passenger. So I'll talk first about the UPS program. Once you are with us and you are a captain in any aircraft, you can declare that you would like to be in the UPS pathway program. From that point on, it is roughly about 3 years with us as a captain, flying a variety of aircraft, holding a variety of positions. They are really keen on being in leadership roles. So whether that's a check airman or a training captain or a regional chief, pilot supervisor, whatever that is, they want you in a leadership role at some point along that way. So you will just keep on flying and doing your thing. If you're upgrading to other aircraft or staying with one aircraft, as long as it's type rated. If you're in a 99 and you declare that, you can't just fly a 99 for 3 years. You've got to upgrade into type rated aircraft. And there's no specific ones you must be in, as long as it's in type rated. But the last year of that 3-year deal, waiting to go over to them, you will be assigned a mentor from UPS. And what that mentor does is they prepare you for that one and only interview at the very end. You'll go to Louisville, you'll spend a little time in the sim down there, kind of getting to know their culture. And that's also what that mentor is to help you with too, their culture. They're very big on that. They're very big in participating in your local community. So they want to instill that in you so that when you do come over, you already have a good idea of what Big Brown's all about. So, and again, they prepare you for that interview as well too. Somewhere close to that 3-year mark, you will be set up for your interview. And again, if you screw this one up, there's no one to blame but yourself, because you have been well prepped for this interview. We have had nobody fail this interview so far. And it involves a panel interview. It involves a sim situation. Just that they want to make sure you can fly, you know how to make decisions. And if I back up a second, one of the reasons that we are the only airline that is partners with UPS is truly because of how our pilots fly. They are the decision makers, single pilot, stick and rudder skills, steam gauges. Now with them, you're going to get into the glass cockpit, which many of you go, yay, I don't want to fly that steam. But that's where your real stick and rudder skills are developed, for those of you that do know that. So they really like that from our pilots. All PIC time. No FOs go directly over to UPS. That's why you have to be a captain before you actually enter into that program. So then once the interview is complete, it's really waiting then for a class date and an airplane assignment. We have, I think we have 5, if I'm not mistaken, already over there. We have a few more right now who have interviewed that are kind of waiting for the class date and assignment. And then we have a multitude in between. They're at all different stages. Some that have only been here a year, 6 months, 2 years. So they're at all different phases of that program. It's a great program. It's the only program around anywhere where you go from us, which is similar to a regional on a cargo level, directly to a major airline. The United one, the Aviate, which you all are part of, there you interview first. And if you're in a program like yours, and which is part of that program, you could interview with them. And if we make you an offer, or even if we don't make an offer yet, they can forward, if you're part of that and you have interviewed, they can forward you to us and say, hey, here's the candidate that we would like to get started. And then when that next class starts, you would be in that program. And you never interview again. So you will make your way through us through a certain period of time based upon where you're at the time you enter the program as far as hours go. You will fly with us. It does not have to be as a captain. So, but it will be, because you're not going to stay with us for a couple of years as an FO. So, but you may be an FO at the time when you enter, and then you'll be a captain. And then as that you meet the times, you will then automatically go to express jets. And then again, it doesn't have to be as a captain. You could literally stay as an FO that whole time. But once you meet the requirement there, you then automatically go straight to United. So little stepping stone in between us and the big dog, but still two programs that are unlike anything else. I'm well aware of other programs with some of the other major airlines. They're not quite as smooth as this program is, the Aviate program, and they're definitely not as smooth as UPS. So it's really a matter of, do you want to fly passengers or do you want to fly boxes? And that decision will be left up to you. And you're not locked into anything. It is possible that somewhere along the line you change your mind in that, and you declare, come out of one and go into the other. It just picks up wherever your progress is at that time, and then they'll determine how long that time period is, especially if you go from a Aviate over to a UPS. But most people, they kind of get a pretty good idea how they want to fly and go that route. So two fantastic opportunities, and we stay excited about those two.
For sure.
If I'm not mistaken, we are in May. We're bringing the son of one of the executives from United. He's actually starting with us in May. I believe he's already a captain. So he'll come on with us as a captain. So they have a lot of faith in us the same way, although they have many little programs out there. Again, it was based on our stick and rudder skills of our captains, our flying IFR, and the high PIC time, because you can learn a lot in the right seat, but it's a lot different than the left seat, as you know. So, and that's why in our aircraft, you just don't go from right seat to left seat. There's other things you got to do. That's why you come back and we'll teach you left seat on the 99. Then you can move forward back into the type rated aircraft. That's it in a nutshell.
Awesome. Well, thank you for all of that. I know that there's going to be a lot of questions at the end regarding those programs, so we're looking forward to them. You had mentioned that you have these programs, and then also something that I think is really exciting outside of these programs is I did see on Instagram yesterday that you just posted, Ameriflight just posted a class photo with 19 new pilots. So that's awesome. How has coronavirus, COVID-19 affected your operations, and have you seen an experience or an increase in demands lately?
Oh goodness, that's an understatement. You know, we have benefited from the misfortune of some of the airlines that will no longer be in existence, and from folks who've been furloughed. But it's great that we've been here to afford them an opportunity with their experience to come right on board with us as captains in a variety of aircraft. So we feel good about that part of it. But yes, the cargo world is alive and well. We have been flying all of our flights. The only thing that will, obviously some cargo will go down because you have stores that aren't open, so they're not accepting or shipping packages. So obviously some of our runs, the amount of packages has decreased, but the runs are still taking place. Same with over the ground with UPS and FedEx and DHL. They're still running strong, thanks to the e-commerce world. But some of the packages have still let down because they can't deliver everywhere. Some places just aren't open yet. But it's been phenomenal. We literally have drawers full of captains now. Some will find work other places. There are other airlines flying. There are places for them to fly. But I guess the biggest opportunity is going to be those who have left another airline as a captain, because there we can put them directly in, or a very high time FO with a lot of PIC time prior to that. There's nothing wrong with being an FO. That's your stepping stone. But if you've been an FO for too long, that you're probably not a prime candidate. So if I've got an FO for 5 years with some airline, I'm a little leery putting them in our type rated equipment as a captain. But person has just been an FO for a year and a half, and prior to that they were instructing, or they had a lot of PIC time. They're perfect, and they can get their career started again and then go to one of the two pathways if they choose. But business is booming, and we just put on a new Embraer. We brought one. It's our 14th one, so that's brand new. That just got done with all its C checks and everything. And I don't know if that was I didn't see the picture. Was that where the picture was in front of Brasilia?
The picture was actually the photos of 19 of the newest pilots that.
Usually it's in front of an aircraft. Was it not in front of the?
I think the caption said because of social distancing guidelines, it was just the individual photos.
Well, sitting over on our Dallas headquarters is our new Brasilia, so we're getting to put that on the line. But yeah, business is going great. The cargo world is doing really well right now, and that's one thing about flying cargo. We've seen the ups and downs of economies. Most of our viewers probably were not alive, or they were very small when we went through some hiccups, going all the way back to 9/11, and then the market crash. Those things had a big dip for the economy, but for shipping packages, whether it be on the ground or in the air, there was a big increase. And of course, it's no surprise that e-commerce world, since it has just kicked off like crazy in past years, that keeps us flowing.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, we're glad that business is booming for you. And the last major question I have before we get into our Q&A from our viewers is just if you had to give one piece of advice to someone that's listening in that is interested in pursuing employment and becoming a pilot with Ameriflight, what would that be?
I'm going to go back to IFR skills, stick and rudder skills. The stronger you are there, the better you are. Being the one who makes the decisions in an aircraft means a lot, tells somebody a lot. Because let's face it, when you're interviewing for a job, we can throw all kinds of things at you and crazy questions and scenarios and so forth. You'll answer them based on your experience. And if your experience is sitting in the right seat too much, without that left seat experience, it's going to show. And they're going to always go to the strongest candidate for the most part. Now, when we're interviewing for an FO, it's a little different. We don't expect the same experience level, obviously. But yeah, the IFR skills and then stick and rudder skills. And those stick and rudder skills come from not flying so much glass. Glass is fun. Glass is great. Put in a movie, have a little glass of wine, I'm kidding. Stick and rudder skills is where it's at, and that comes from flying those roundels. So that would be my advice. No matter what you're flying, do your due diligence to make sure you know how to fly steam gauge aircraft, which technically aren't really steam anymore, but you know what I mean.
Perfect. Thank you so much for all of that information. I know that I speak for all of our attendees when I say that we really appreciate it. At this time, we will begin the Q&A from you guys. I know that we had received a question via email even before the webinar from Tammy, and Tammy would like to know, for those of us who are interested in building a cargo career with Ameriflight and then potentially moving on to a carrier such as UPS, is it better to instruct and obtain the 1,500-hour minimum or take a job flying cargo with a carrier that has a lower requirement to build those hours?
Well, Tammy, it's a little bit challenging finding those positions if you have lower time. Not impossible, it's just a lot more challenging. And I would expect to continue to be challenging, maybe even more so now, because you have so many pilots out there just trying to find something. And if they have any kind of experience, they're going to kind of get the nod. I never turn against instructing. I love the experience of instructing, because when you instruct something, you become stronger in whatever it is you're instructing. So at least having that CFI and double I. MEI is great, but I would rather have the double I than anything. So I'm going to lean more towards the instructing until you reach 1,200 hours or close to that, about 1,150. I always tell people, when you get there, call me, because you're going to get 20 hours in training. So really, if I can get you to 1,180, it's possible to get you on board and get you going. And if you can do a little mix, great. If you instruct for a while and then you can get a gig flying some cargo, getting 135 experience, fantastic.
And then Jason would like to know, how can he stand out as a pilot applicant? Will a bachelor's degree help this?
Never hurts. Not mandatory. I always tell folks to, get in the air first. Get all your pilot credentials and start flying. You'll have time to get your degree, and we want you to. Every airline does. But it's not necessary to try to do both at the same time all the time, or get that first. There's plenty of jobs out there if you can fly, and then get your degree online. So don't let the fact that you don't have a degree stop you from pursuing the flying and getting the proper time so that you can get your experience, because that has so much to do with it. Before you get to the big dogs, if they want that degree, which some have laxed a little bit on, but they still want it done by a certain time period, you'll have time to do that. I know with the way we fly, it's perfect for somebody who wants to finish their degree, because we have our schedule is normally early morning departure, midday sit, and an early evening return. So that midday sit, we have some pilots who actually attend classes at a local college where they're sitting at, or they just simply use that time to get their work done online. I hope that answered it, Jason.
Perfect. And Jason would also like to know, will Ameriflight guarantee a pilot position after completing 1 year as an intern with the program at UPS?
Okay, so I'm assuming you're saying if a person is an intern
At UPS.
intern program, yes, we guarantee them a position.
Okay.
Because they have to do 1 year with them, and then we'll find a slot for them.
Awesome. Perfect. And Lisa would like to know, or Lisa, do you have a mandatory retirement age?
We do not. My old saying is, fly till you die, just don't do it in the cockpit.
And do you, Kenny would like to know that, and I know that you have several bases, he writes, do you expect applicants to live locally, or is there a chance that you're able to commute?
Yeah, because of the way we fly, as I just said, with what our schedule is, you have to live within about an hour and 15-minute drive of the base you're assigned at. There's just no other way to make it work. You can fly home on a weekend or a long weekend or on vacation, but there's no way to commute that back and forth all the time.
That being said, you guys do have caste privileges, though, if someone wanted to commute. And for those of you that don't know, that's a system where Ameriflight pilots are able to jump seat on some airlines if you wanted to go visit family. And if you have a 4-year degree already that's not aviation, can you still pursue the UPS pathway program?
Absolutely.
Right. And so this is someone that's a student with ATP. Welcome, Shane. He mentioned that all of our aircraft are glass cockpits, so they're right now steam gauges would be something that maybe he looks to do somewhere that, just flying on the side for a weekend. Would Ameriflight consider me as a first officer without the round dial exposure with a little bit more time?
Yeah, and especially we would if you are instructing. So if you at least got that double I, at least we feel you're a little more advanced. But I'll be honest, it's very competitive for those positions. So if I have somebody who has been instructing on steam gauge aircraft or very familiar, even if they're not instructing on it, if they're familiar with it, they have plenty of time in it, then they would probably get the nod. But I won't say no. Same with if you come on directly as a captain. It just makes it very difficult in training. It's very easy to go from steam to glass. That transition is so simple. But pilots who have done, and unfortunately I just had a few, who come from nothing but glass, absolutely struggle and struggle horribly coming to steam. So get that time in. I don't care if it's a computer-based program. Just get used
Get
to
exposure to it.
Yeah, that scan is so important in the steam gauge and very different than glass. So, but yes, we'd still consider you, but it would be a little tougher road for you.
And is there a minimum time requirement to stay with Ameriflight if someone were to accept a job with you?
We never in the past have we had contracts, but we just started them in May. So if you're coming on as an FO, then there is the 1 year, which we've never had any issue with that. We started that one a couple months ago. That one should be no issue. I mean, that's almost a no-brainer. We've put out almost $40,000 in training costs. It's our highest aircraft for training. So all we want is some investment back. It's going to take you that long anyway to become a captain. So I don't know where you're going to jump at 900 or 1,000 hours. When at 1,000 hour or at 1,200, you're going to become a captain with us. But as a captain, we have the type-rated aircraft. That is an 18-month commitment, and it's $30,000. And in 1 year, that cuts in half. So you would still be on the hook for 15, but once you hit the 18-month mark, then you're no longer committed. And that's just we've had such an influx right now, obviously, of captains that have come in. The last thing we want is 8 months from now a mass exodus. And not only are we sitting there with empty positions, but all those training costs that we put out just have now gone to waste after 6 or 8 months. We don't see it happening. Honestly, it's probably going to take a little while for the whole industry to kind of reinvent itself in many cases and open back up completely. But still, we have to protect that investment that we have. If you change aircrafts or anything while you're with us, that doesn't start the contract over. Contract starts date of hire and ends at 18 months and cuts in half in 12 months.
Kimberly would like to know, she sees the map on your website that lists all of your bases. Is there somewhere where she can see a list of which aircraft are located at which bases?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know, but if you email me, I can sure send you that. Be rzietak@ameriflight.com. Just let me know you were on the call here, and I'd be happy to do that. Or if you have specific aircraft you're interested in, where are they all at?
Perfect. Yep. And hey, Kayla, this is actually one of our instructors out in the West Coast. She would like to know, do you have any suggestions on how to best prepare for an interview with Ameriflight?
Really, it's know what your strengths are. Know why. Convince me why I should hire you. And that's what any interview really is. Um, you want to be able to project that, hey, I know what I'm doing. I know I'm going to learn a lot. I'm not saying I know everything about your aircraft, but I'm very good at what I do, and I'm knowledgeable, and I'm eager to learn. I'm a sponge, and and I have a great attitude, and I bring donuts to Zeke whenever I see him. Those are the kind of things that really you need to prepare and just kind of have that already. Why should we hire you? Be able to answer that without even being asked that. Uh, Technical wise, I'm not going to get into real big technical questions. There's nothing that you wouldn't be able to handle. So there's nothing to really prepare for. If you meet the qualifications, you should be able to handle any of those, and there's very few. Most of it's all about you. So we're hiring a person first, right? They have to meet the qualifications, but that personality, even though you're flying single pilot, unless you're in an FO position, um, dealing with customers, dealing with management, dealing with other pilots, very important, what kind of attitude you have. If you're a positive person and you have some goals, let us know your goals. That's important too in the interview. And that's really it. Just be honest. If there's a glitch somewhere, we're going to find it. So if I asked you, have you ever failed a check ride or any kind of check, have you ever bounced a check, which I don't really ask that, but it just goes along with the checks. So if you've ever busted a check ride, I don't care if it was your very first one and it was 20 years ago, probably not in this class, but just be open with it. People bust check rides for a variety of reasons. Important thing is, how long after that did you retake it and did you pass it the second time? If there's ever been an incident, we're going to find all those things out. And the worst thing is if we find background issues. I don't need the particulars, but if you had an issue in your background, we're going to run that check. We're doing an FBI check, so we're going to find it. Just be open with it, because as long as it's on your application and we're aware of it, and then we find it, if something that's that bad where we go, woo, I don't know if I want to take a chance. But honestly, most things really aren't that bad. So be open and honest, and just know your strengths and weaknesses, and convince me why I want to hire you, why you're the best thing since sliced bread. Okay.
Well, we think she is, but for what it's worth. Okay. Okay, so this is a unique question. How are pilots handling those that are flying Brazilias or social distancing, and just how are you handling that within your operation?
Okay. Very easy within the single pilot operation world. No one else in there. Um, but no, we're following the same rules. I mean, we're following the 6 feet of separation when the plane's being loaded by either UPS or FedEx. The captain is there. He's doing his weight and balance, but he's keeping his distance from the loaders. Same within the offices. We have people spread out. Those that can work from home are working from home. The aircrafts are sanitized every day. So we're doing all the things. If a pilot wants to, while he's out with, whether it be the customers or the loaders or whoever, wants to have a mask on, that's his or her prerogative. Some do, some don't. So it's really no different than anywhere else. We don't mandate anything. We've had no cases, so that's a big plus. I think we had one, not a pilot, but I think we have had one, and that person has recovered, and there's been no other issues, but no pilot incidents at all. So that's good. But yeah, that's one of the benefits of flying single pilot. Now within the Brasilia, again, I don't know if they're wearing masks or not, because they are. You've got a captain and an FO, of course. So I don't know. I don't know if they put up a piece of cardboard between them. Whatever they want to do is fine, though. We haven't had any issues. We haven't had any special requests for anything. And again, the aircraft are being sanitized daily. So, and the office spaces are being sanitized multiple times daily. So we've been very safe. That's been our CEO's big number one priority: keep our people safe.
Okay. Shannon would like to know, is there anything that can be done in the period between beginning instructing to gain the initial hours to meet hiring mins for a 135 operation that would really help make a candidate stand out as more desirable? So while they're building up to 1200.
While they're with us building up?
I think while instructing, if they're instructing to get to 1200, what aside from instructing can they do to help prepare or make themselves stand out?
Well, again, that stick and rudder skill experience. So if you're instructing and it's all glass, then you need to get some steam gauge time, whether that's, renting an aircraft when you can and getting some time, or going to a simulator, which is probably a lot easier. Or even online programs. But you want to start getting some experience in that side of the house if you're not getting it while you're flying. Other than that, it's no, the instructing is fantastic. That's a big strength, especially if it's the double I, because we fly single pilot IFR. Those instrument skills are crucial. So we want everybody on a scale of 1 to 10, 8 or above, within their own confidence level. So and that's one of the questions. I'll give you a cheat one on that one. One of the questions I ask you is, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you feel you're at as far as your confidence and proficiency flying instruments? And if it's not an 8 or above, then it's not good. That's just a warning sign for us. So you need to beef yourself up to be at that. And if you're instructing, I would sure hope you could tell me I'm a solid 9. 10 means I walk on water, so I'm leery when somebody says 10. Or you get the occasional, I'm a 12. I don't even know what that means, because we gave you a scale of 1 to 10. But a good 8, 9, very confident. That's what's important.
Okay, perfect. And Anonymous had asked us, and I think we had discussed this a little bit earlier, but yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, you do have first officers based in Puerto Rico, correct?
Absolutely.
And if would you consider a first officer with less than 500 total time? You'd mentioned about 450 as your.
Yeah, in the past, I would look for somebody who, especially if they were from an area where they didn't have to relocate. They were from where I had an opening at. If they had 450, they were a CFI at least, then I would consider them. Now is probably a little different. Probably I need a little more, probably at 500. And I'll tell you why. Because I want you as close to 500 hours of PIC really as I can. I think I may have misspoke before and said about 100 PIC. That's not true. We want you as close to 500 PIC as possible, because when the time comes and you transition to captain, FAR 135 Min says 500 hours PIC. So if you're at 300 or 350 or 400 PIC, I can't upgrade you. You have to go somewhere and build that PIC time first. And I don't have an aircraft to put you in. So you got to go spend your own money to get your PIC up to at least 480, so that when you come on board, you can make it to the 500 and we could release you as a captain. So that's why we don't want to play around too far into that 500. Most people in the younger times, their PIC time and their total time is pretty close. As you get more experience, that starts separating, or especially if you've got FO somewhere, obviously now your FO time is going to be high. But usually those first 500 hours, the PIC time should be pretty close to your total time. So I hope that answered that.
It did, yes.
Maybe not the way you said it, Anonymous, but.
Eric would like to know, what's one thing you think people fail to consider when they are considering pursuing a career as a cargo pilot? Just something that people maybe don't usually take into account.
That the hours, it's a different way of flying, especially when you're flying with us. When you move up to a UPS or some of the other cargo airlines, it gets to be a little bit different, but still, it's hard work. With us, it's a long day. It's not a lot of flying all the time. like I said, we depart early in the morning. We may have a 6 a.m., maybe 7 a.m. departure where you're there an hour prior. You'll then depart. You may fly a leg, 2 legs. Then you sit. You may sit for 4 hours. You may sit for 7 hours. And then you'll show back to the airport an hour ahead and you'll depart home. So during that day, you may have only been at work a total of maybe 4 hours, 5 hours, but the day may have been 12 hours. So because of that sit time, because we operate the way UPS and FedEx operate, they fly most all their cargo at night. We don't do a lot of nights. We have some, but most of our flying is in the day. So I think sometimes people don't realize, man, these are long days. So, but if you're doing, and you got to get your rest. So we get hotels for you, obviously. So we want you to get some rest. And then if you're working on your degree, or if you're out there enjoying wherever it is you sit, whether it be the casino, we got people that just go play golf. They go fishing, they go motorcycle riding, whatever they want to do. It's your time. You do what you want. But that still adds up to a long day. And I think sometimes people don't realize that. And our schedules, like we said, 90% are Monday through Friday operation. We may have a couple in there where that pilot may only fly 3 days a week or 4 days a week, but for the most part, you fly 5 days a week. So it's not where you fly 1 week, off 2 weeks or something of that nature. It's Monday through Friday operation. I think sometimes they forget that and they get with us and they think, wow, this isn't quite as easy as I thought it was, even though I'm not loading and unloading. The day becomes long, but you have your weekends off and you get to see some, you do great flying. You do a lot of great, you gain a lot of experience, especially as an FO. I don't know of an FO that just doesn't love flying that big bro. It's a great aircraft. It's a lot of fun. And many wish they could just switch over to the left seat and continue flying that, but they can't. But yeah, the cargo world's a little different. You're not walking through an airport, so the little kids can see how pretty you look in your hat and uniform and all that. So that's it. I don't know what else.
How often do you guys have any, I know you mentioned it's primarily during the day, but do you have any night operations, or how often does a pilot experience that?
That do fly nights. Our Louisville operation, they fly all Beech 1900s. That's more of a nighttime operation. And then we've got a 99 that flies out of Reno to LAX. That's a nighttime operation. That's two that stick out as they are nights all the time. And then around the country, there's different ones that will operate not fully at night, but they'll catch parts of nights, different times a year, obviously.
Okay, perfect. And Bradford would like to know if he is interested in applying and is hired on at Ameriflight. As far as the pathway programs, when do most pilots apply to those for UPS and for aviation?
Usually is when they finish their OE training and they go to their base. If that's their, we kind of brought them to us. They want to start it as quickly as possible. So they want it to be known then, I'd like to be in that pathway program.
Okay.
And then it's between them and a chief pilot of an official date, So, but it's once they become a captain, they're eligible to be in that program.
And then Allison would like to know, how long does it take to get to, on average, United through the Ameriflight program?
If you're coming to us initially, either as an FO or as a captain on a Beech 99, so the minimum's 1,200 hours, or anything that would be less than that as an FO. Probably looking anywhere between, is she asking to get all the way to United or to Express Jets?
I think she was asking United, but we can discuss both.
Probably looking at about a 3.5 year period there. That's going through us, going through Express Jets, and then actually over to United. That would be a pretty good guesstimate. There's not an exact time because it's going to depend upon what does United need, when do they need them, how many do they have, that type of thing. But they're not going to let you sit there and fester for 4.5 years till you get over there. As long as you've been a good pilot and employee, it's going to be about a 3.5 year deal. With UPS, it'll be about a 3 year deal. So both very close.
Victor would like to know, and I know that this is something that you've actually talked to some of our graduates, and you're very, I know they've given feedback. They really appreciate how honest you are with that, with regard to chances of getting a base that you want. And I know we briefly discussed this before, but
If the base is open when you're applying, and it's a luck thing. I mean, it's a timing issue too. I don't care if I've got 4 openings. I don't care who goes where. I just have to put a qualified pilot in that position. So if you're the first one of the 4 that gets an offer, you're gonna have a choice of 4 bases. If you're the second one and there's 3 left, you're gonna have 3 bases to choose from. And if you're the last one, I'm gonna say, this is all I have right now. So that's just how it works. Whatever aircraft is available that you're qualified for and where that opening is, again, we don't care. There's no seniority aspect of that or anything of that nature. We want you happy, obviously, but I can't say that you're always going to be where you want to be. It's, when you're anything you do in a career, I don't care what it is, there's going to be times where you can have a nice assignment or a particular job you want, but doggone it, it's this place here and I don't really want to go there. But the career move would be great. You got to make that decision. And if you're smart, you'll take the hard assignment, even though it's not where you like. And I guarantee you, being all the military I had some real armpit assignments. And when I left, I didn't want to leave there. I loved it there. And it's really all about the people. And you'll have the same thing. Don't turn down an assignment that is really going to help you, especially flying, just because of where that base is, because you're not going to live there forever. I mean, with us, you only have to be at a base for 6 months and you can actually bid out of there. So if you're somewhere as a pilot and you want to get to another base and you see it opened up and you've done your 6 months there, you can bid. And if you're the senior pilot, then you'll get that bid. So go after the tough assignments all the time. They'll pay off in the long run.
good advice, sound advice. Ron would like to know, so he has been out of flying for 15 years, but he had previous 135 single pilot freight time, multi-instrument flying in Colorado, transitioned to PIC in the 99s out of Vegas. And he's just wondering, what would it take for him to be a competitive applicant, since he hasn't flown in a long time, but he does have almost 4,000 hours and 1,000 turbine PIC.
Number one, get current, get back in the air, knock off the rust, make sure those stick and rudder skills are still functioning. And we want some currency. So we would, to be honest, I would never consider somebody who just has not flown in a long period of time. Actually, more than a year, I would have you come in and do a sim evaluation before we would make you an offer, especially if it's in the type-rated aircraft. And it sounds like with your hours, that's kind of what we would be looking at maybe. But then again, maybe you don't have the turbine or anything you require, so we would look at a 99. But I would still want some currency. So I'm not going to tell you exactly how many hours, but within that prior 90 days that from when we're talking about it, it'd be nice to see 25, 30 hours that's saying you're back in the air, you're current again, everything's good, you've knocked the rust off, and you're ready to fly. So much of flying is, I won't say like a bicycle, because even when I get on a bicycle now, I usually fall 3 times. So, and I know how to ride a bike, just old age. But when you don't fly for a long period of time, there's just the reactions, and it just takes a while to get back into the flow of things again. So getting back up and getting current and feeling that feel again of being in charge of an aircraft, it has a lot to do with it. So hopefully that answers the question.
And then Sam would like to know about logging time as an SIC. He says our first officer is able to log time as SIC.
Yes, absolutely.
And are you planning on opening any new bases or locations outside of Miami?
I can seal my lips on that one.
Potentially to be determined.
We're always looking to grow. Absolutely. As the environment grows, I mean, we hope. My CEO would love nothing more than to open more bases as long as they're profitable. One thing that he has done, he's a enormously intelligent young man. A lot of respect for him. Is he found where we may have had bases and flying a lot of flights, but we weren't making any money. So it was better to close that base. One of them was in CVG, where we were losing money, but because we owned the hangar, we were able to close the operation because it wasn't doing us any good, but rent the hangar. So all of a sudden that base became profitable. That mindset, that way of thinking is what has turned us into a very profitable company. And as long as he feels that we can make money, he'd open any base anywhere, like we just did Miami. We closed Miami 3 years ago because it was very difficult to find pilots for down there, and we weren't making any money. But now, hopefully from that, we can grow and expand that base. And like I said, yes, we're always looking, and he's always got something on the burner, always.
Awesome. Well, we're getting close to our guys. I think the last question that I'm seeing a lot in here is just with everything going on right now with COVID-19, and it seems like a lot of people are interested in those first officer positions. Can you just talk and speak to, I know you'd mentioned that they're still hiring right now with the Metroliner, but when you think that you might be able to start hiring and ramping up first officers again?
As the first officers that we currently have are hitting those times to start upgrading, that's when that opens back up. And it's always been that way. We've gone through 2 or 3 months where I have 0 openings, and then I have 7 openings. And it will continue that way. Right now, we have some FOs that are on the lower end, maybe at the 600, 700 hour mark. And then I have some at the higher end, around that between 1,000 hours and 1,200. So they're getting very close. Some of them have already bid for openings in the 99. And within the next few months, they'll get that. And there goes Elvis. I'm on a Zoom here, Elvis. Come on. But, as those people move up, that will open on the other side, and we'll be hiring. So I wish I could say, hey, month after next, it could be next month I could have an opening, and it may not be for 4 months. I don't know. Just keep track of checking on the site every couple weeks. You can always, if y'all don't have my information, I don't know, do they have my phone number and everything?
Those of our alumni do, yes.
So please, you can reach out to me. Texting me is the best way to get me, or email, and just say, hey, I'm from ATP, anything open yet? Or, here's my resume, anything open yet? I don't mind at all. That's, you belong to or you're part of a great school. And we have quite a few ATP alum that are with us now and have been with us and have moved on to bigger and better things as well. So I always look forward to trying to help you out, answer your questions. I'm straightforward. I'm sorry I don't sugarcoat much, but I think you need to know the honest truth when you're trying to make a decision for a career. So reach out to me anytime.
Perfect. And then I think Kimberly was just clarifying. Kimberly, yes, you do have his email address, correct? It's R as in Romeo, and then his last name at Ameriflight. She was just asking to verify that. But as we are approaching our hour mark, Zeke, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, for all of your insight. I know for all of our graduates that you've talked to, you really, you do, like you just mentioned, you tell them when opportunities are available, and you're honest as far as the bases. So we really appreciate all of your insight in this industry and for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley, very much. And thank you all. Really appreciate it. Y'all take care.